Marriage. One of the most powerful and universal human traditions, uniting people in love, in politics, and in power. But have you ever wondered? Who got married first? Who wrote the very first wedding vows? And was marriage even about love, or something entirely different? Before we track down the very first marriage, we have to ask, what even is marriage? But here's the twist. Marriage wasn't always about love. In fact, for most of human history, marriage had almost nothing to do with romance. Instead, it was about survival, family ties, land, power, and alliances. So, when did this all begin? To find the answer, we have to journey back, way back. The very first recorded marriage took place around 2350 BCE in the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia. This tablet is one of the oldest surviving marriage contracts. Written in cuneiform, it described an official union between a man and a woman in the city of Sumer. But here's the shocking part. It wasn't about love. In early Sumerian society, marriage was essentially a business deal. The father of the bride had to approve, the groom paid a bride price or dowry, and the woman was expected to be loyal. The husband, however, he often had more freedom, sometimes with multiple wives or concubines. In other words, marriage began not as a love story, but as a contract, a guarantee of property, family lineage, and social stability. But what about ancient Egypt? Did they marry for love? The Egyptians were among the first to write about romantic love. Some of their poetry sounds like modern-day love songs, yet reality tells a different story. For most Egyptians, marriage was arranged. Wealthy families saw it as a way to secure alliances. Pharaohs often married their sisters to keep bloodlines pure. And common Egyptians? They used written contracts, sometimes with divorce clauses, inheritance rules, and even custody arrangements. So, while Egypt gave us some of the earliest love poetry, their marriages were often more practical than passionate. Marriage wasn't just political, it became deeply religious. In the Bible, the marriage of Adam and Eve is described as humanity's first union. In Hindu scriptures, marriages called vivaha were considered sacred bonds tied to dharma or cosmic duty. And in ancient China, marriage rituals were guided by the I Ching and Confucian customs, emphasizing harmony, family, and respect for ancestors. In each culture, marriage wasn't simply about two people. It was about the community, the gods, and the continuation of society itself. But when did marriage finally become about love? Historians point to the Middle Ages. Around the 12th century, the Catholic Church began shaping marriage as a religious sacrament. Wedding vows, rings, and the idea of marriage as a sacred partnership all emerged here. This was also the era of courtly love. Romantic ideals sung by poets and celebrated in stories of knights and princesses. For the first time, love and marriage began to overlap. By the 19th century, especially in Europe and America, marriage was increasingly about romance. The idea of marrying for love became not only common, but expected. Today, marriage looks very different around the world. In some places, it's still deeply traditional. In others, it's a personal choice. In America, around half of all adults still marry, but divorce is also common. Meanwhile, in many cultures across Asia and Africa, arranged marriages remain the norm. And in recent decades, new forms of marriage, same-sex unions, civil partnerships, and legal reforms have reshaped what marriage means. What's fascinating is that even after 4,000 years, marriage still balances the same forces: love, law, tradition, and survival. Here's the question: do we still need marriage? Some say marriage is outdated, a relic of patriarchal systems. Others believe it remains a cornerstone of family, stability, and even happiness. But one thing is certain: marriage has been with us for over 4,000 years. And whether for love, politics, or survival, it continues to shape our lives. From the first marriage contract in Mesopotamia to the vows exchanged today, marriage is not just about two people. It's the story of civilization itself. If you love uncovering history's greatest firsts, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got more mind-blowing episodes coming on First One Facts.